couple questions. How much of me is me? Because I know I'm surrounded by my cadre of non-physical
Depends on what you've got
friends.
going on vibrationally. You can pinch yourself off pretty good. The happier you are, the more of you you are.
Yes.
The more unhappy you are in any moment, the less of you you are allowing to flow through.
Yes. But I'm being surrounded and guided all the time, and depending upon my receptivity.
Yeah.
So how much?
Well, you're guided all the time, but whether you know it or not is what your receptivity is depending on. The
Yes.
guidance never stops.
Correct.
The flowing to you never stops. The well wishes and well-meaning and well-being and guidance and direction never ceases to be flowing to you.
So all that's flowing to me, how much is that my cadre of non-physical friends, how much of it was my independent thinking?
As you came in to this physical body, you had clear intentions that were not being resisted at all. So you got here and you have this clear intention and a vortex that is robust with future experience that's going to be wonderful in general format, general well-being that you get to choose the specifics of. Then as you move through life, you add to the specifics of it by what you're living, by the conscious and unconscious requests for an improved life that you offer. So you and your inner being have been in on creating this vibrational reality for more than we can even acknowledge as time. In other words, the longevity of you and who you are is so much. So the only question is, since all of that, some you were born with and most you've added to it as you've been walking this physical trail, your inner being has become the fullness of all of that. So the question that you're putting to us is, how much of me is my inner being and how much of my inner being isn't me? And we say, you really are, you and your inner being are identical. But in this physical format, in any moment in time, you can disallow yourself the knowledge of who you are. It's like in a moment of complaint, you forget how blessed you are. So we want to say, it's all you and you. Jerry wanted to entitle all of the books or get them in the bookshelf. They're all in the spooky section. He wanted them to be in the self-help, and he wanted to say self-help from total self, because we are all in this together. So now ask your question again.
So the guidance that I'm receiving from my mom and Jerry and Abraham.
Let's call it the knowing that they hold for you about you in this moment in time. It's the knowing that they hold. You can call it guidance if you want, but the knowing that they hold, the opinion that they've got about you and all you want and where you stand relationship to everything else you want, the knowing that they hold right here and now. All right, so there is that.
So they're only holding that which is me then. Does that make sense?
They hold more than that.
Well,
but as far as your receptive mode goes, you can't pick up on anything that they're thinking about anybody else.
Okay, or their own from what they've lived, but they're providing me what?
What's your problem? What's bothering you about it? What's bothering you about this?
I didn't know if I was just a reflection of all of them around me, or is it me and they're enhancing who I am?
Well, it is all of that, but let's see if we can find a way of explaining this that you will really get. Because what you're talking about is the difference between their general awareness of you and their specific awareness of you. And your general reception or your specific reception has to do about what you've practiced. So if you have accepted that well-being is your life experience, then everything that you touch or turn to turns out well. But most of you have these places where everything's good but that, or everything's good but that. So you have these parts of your life that you are less receptive for the good than others because you're still so aware of what you're living rather than of what you're asking for. Now, really, we really want to say this in a way that you will let yourself off the hook completely. As long as you're in this physical body, you will not ever know everything that your inner being knows about you just because of the physical nature that surrounds you. In other words, that pure positive energy is reserved for your re-emergence into non-physical, where once and for all you will let all resistance go. Because, and this is the only reason that that is true, because you have and want to have and should have and do have and will have, as long as you're in this physical body, you've got a reality that you can also see and observe. So let's just say that the reality that you are seeing and observing is always a factor in how much of your inner being. But think about that. Think about how, think about how being in this physical body is causing you to focus in a way that you would not focus if you were not in your physical body. It's all part of the focus. So your question is just not a frivolous problem to you question. This is a really important question, because you are a focal point for all of this knowing. That's why we are all so excited about what you are doing, what you are wanting, what you are knowing. You're the leading edge. You're the leading edge of creation. That matters so much. So when you say, how much of me is that? We say, a better question is, how much of that are you allowing you to be? How much of that are you allowing you to be? That's the question. And the answer is given to you by the emotion that you feel. When you're sailing, you know, you get in that flow. Every corner you turn is just another something wonderful to see. Every person you meet, you just think, these are the nicest people in the whole world right here in this town today. And we say, law of attraction has put you all together. Your vibration is the reason that you are interacting with whom you're interacting with, and the mood that they're in when you're interacting with them. Because nothing that's out of sync with what you are projecting can ever come to you. It's like a mirror reflecting back to you exactly what you're doing vibrationally, you see. And so we wouldn't spend too much time trying to figure out what part of me. It's like Esther acknowledges that when she allows herself in this format, when she allows herself to move to the frequency of Abraham and receive the vibration of Abraham, she feels a clarity and an empowerment and a liveliness and a love and an appreciation of life unlike that she feels under any other conditions. In other words, and so to varying degrees you are allowing the fullness of who you are to flow. So then you might want to say, well then, all right, so Esther is allowing Abraham, but exactly what is Abraham? And we say, that is really a moving thing depending upon what you are summoning through Esther. In other words, your point of attraction is what determines what this energy is that you are summoning. You see what we're getting at? And so when we talk about infinite intelligence, that's what we want to say is not only available to you, that's what we want to say that you are. You are infinite intelligence. How much bigger or broader or more important of a label could we ever give to anyone? You are infinite intelligence, and you get to define toward what you want that infinite intelligence to flow. And what you discover is infinite intelligence as it flows through. It's not more eager for you to talk about physics or scientific discovery than it is about the route to where you want to go. Infinite intelligence is enjoying whatever subject you are focused upon, because there's no subject that is not expanding. None. Every subject is expanding. So really what you're talking about when you're talking about how good you feel is you being in on and in fact providing and being an equal part to infinite intelligence expanding in this leading edge. Most humans still don't have that straight. They still don't understand that you in your physical form are the leading edge of thought. So many people think that they're here being tested by something that is the leading edge of thought, and that you're still trying to catch up. You don't realize that you are the leading edge of thought. Helpful?
That's empowering. Thank you. I have another question. I have a recurring feeling when I meditate, and that's of, it's not floating. I struggle trying to find the correct word to describe it.
Before you go, hold the thought just for a moment. Something that's recurring means you've got a pretty consistent, steady vibration about it. We just want to stick that in there. Anytime anything is recurring in your life, playing out, dreams, that means there's a vibration that is pretty steady that keeps causing that vibration or thought to turn to that recurring thing.
It's a good thing.
Yes,
it's a great feeling. It's a feeling of...
We were just enjoying the word recurring.
Okay.
We liked the word recurring, and we just wanted to use it to emphasize the momentum of law of attraction. Yes.
Well, I like it too. And I like the feeling so much of this feeling of levitating or floating or being without gravity so much. It makes me feel so good, and it's easy to get there, but the feeling is so familiar, and I don't understand how could I have a familiar feeling of something I've never experienced.
Well, because there are these basic vibrational points of view or vantage points that can be demonstrated in many different ways. That feeling is absence of resistance, and you're translating it into that feeling. But absence of resistance can also be translated into a new idea. Absence of resistance can also be translated into a feeling of elation. Absence of resistance can also be translated into rendezvousing with something that just takes your breath away when you observe it. So absence of resistance just being translated in that time of meditation into that feeling of complete detachment. Not detachment from who you are, because you still have consciousness. Not detachment from well-being, because you could feel the well-being. Detachment from anything in the way of that.
Okay.
Is what you're describing there.
Okay.
Yeah. Something that's recurring like that is a really good thing. When you're free-flowing like that, that means receptive mode is easy for you to click into anytime you want. And so we know that along with that recurring feeling of detachment from resistance, you're also full of great ideas and full of energy and good feelings and probably having a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
I'll do it more often then. I'll make it recur more often.